today. So we just did translations, and now we're going to do reflections. So reflection is just like what you think of in daily life. When you look at yourself in the mirror, it's a mirror reflection, so it's a flip. The same thing we will see with our reflections. We're going to reflect over the X and the Y axis, and it should look the same, just flipped. So, reflection of transformation, where each point in a shape appears at the same distance on the opposite side of a line of reflection. The image will be reflected over the X or Y axis. So that's the most important part pretty much for this, is realizing, is it going over the X axis or the Y axis? So I will ask that you have a highlighter or ask for a highlighter while we're doing reflections. All right, so the first one says reflect the figure over the Y axis. So before we do anything, I want to circle or underline the thing that says Y axis, and then if you have a highlighter, or please ask for a highlighter, highlight that Y axis. Very important, because a lot of times we get caught up in doing something and then we reflect it over the wrong axis, and we want to make sure we're reflecting over the axis that they're asking for. So we have noted that we're reflecting over the Y-axis. Okay, step one, label the points. We are going to label points A through D. So let's see, A is going to be 2 over 2. And how many does it go up? Well, it goes up 7 points. If you count each line on that grid, it goes up 7 points, so 2, 7. B goes over 6. And it goes up 7 points, because it's right across from A. C goes over 6, up 3. And D goes over 2, up 3. Okay, so we have all of our points for our original pre-image. In step 2, we already highlighted the axis that we're reflecting over, because I want to make sure we do that right away. Now it says apply the reflection. So in order to do that, the directions say count how many spaces it takes you to get to the axis, the highlighted axis, so the orange line, and then count the same number of spaces but on the opposite side. So let's start with A. So how far is A from that axis? Well, it's 1, 2, okay? So it's 2 away from the Y-axis. So that means we're going to count those 2 spaces toward the highlighted Y-axis, and then we're going to count 2 in the opposite direction, which ends us up right here. Okay, and we'll label that point A prime. Okay, and then let's look at B. Let's see how far B is from the X-axis. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots away from that axis. So that means we're going to move 6 spots or spaces away in the opposite direction. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll end up right here, and that's my B prime. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing with C, and we're going to do the same thing with D. So since C is right underneath B, we know it's 6 away, but if you want to double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6 spaces away, so it's going to be 6 spaces in the opposite direction as well. Okay, so then we'd say that this is C prime. And D is 2 spaces away from that highlighted axis, so we're going to move 2 spaces in the opposite direction. And that's D prime. Okay, so now you can connect your dots. Sorry, it's kind of hard on this iPad. So then you see that you have a mirror reflection of your original shape. One thing to note is that since B and C are on the outside here, B prime and C prime should also be on the outside. A lot of times they'll trick you, and with a translation, it could look the same. It could look like a translation, but B and C wouldn't be on the outside if it was a translation. So make sure it's a flip, a mirror image of each other. Now we can go ahead and write our coordinates. So for A prime moves over 2 to the left, so it's -2, and then it's going up 7. B prime moves over to the left, -6, and it moves up 7. C prime also moves over -6, and it moves up 3. And D prime moves over -2 and up 3 as well. Okay. So we've already graphed the new figure and labeled all of our coordinates. Great job. Let's do a triangle now. Okay, reflect over the x-axis. So circle the axis that you're going to reflect over, the x-axis. Highlight it on your paper so you don't do it over the wrong one and do more work than you need to do. Okay, label the points. So point A. Okay, we're moving over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to the left. So point A is -5. And then how many are we moving up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. +6. B, 1, 2, 3, -3. Moving up just 2, +2. And C, we are moving over -7 and moving up 2. Okay, great. We already highlighted the axis that we're reflecting over, so now it says apply the reflection. So, same thing that we did with the square. We're going to start with A, and we're going to count how many spaces A is toward that highlighted x-axis. So the shape should end up in the third quadrant. So A is 1, let me try that again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots away from that highlighted axis. So we need to move 6 spots in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you're going to draw your point A and label it A prime. Okay, now we're doing the same thing with B. B is only 2 spots away from the x-axis, so then we're going to move 2 spots in the opposite direction and label it, we're going to label it B prime. C is also 2 spots away from, 2 spaces away from the x-axis, so it's going to end up here. 2 spots in the opposite direction, C prime. And then if you connect your coordinates, you see you have a nice triangle. Hopefully yours looks better than mine. All right, what I would like you to do is go ahead and finish up those coordinates, identifying those 3 coordinates, A prime, B prime, and C prime. And then when you flip it over, you're going to do 2 things. You're going to do number 3, reflecting over the x-axis, and do number 4, reflecting the triangle over the y-axis, and then get them checked. Once you're done with that, you can move on to the reflection. Great job.